This week on Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. You know what? You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. We are going to talk about a good card game anime. Today, we are once again returning to the world of Shadowverse Flame. That's right. Back by popular demand. And whose demand? My demand! I'm going to talk some more about Shadowverse Flame. Episodes like 17 through 32, I think, is where I'm at. Which is funny because the last one was 1 to 16, and this is the next 16. Not intentional, just kind of how we wound up. Because this show is still just really fucking good. And it doesn't need aliens or traveling through space or any of this other dumb shit they're just shoving in our face with Go Rush. It just accomplishes it all by having really, really fucking good characters and just letting you spend time with them. The majority of this chunk of episodes was focused on the girls. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's never really done that. We spent a big chunk of time here just following our two female leads as they track down and introduce us to our third female lead. And this is great because there's no mention of the guys. They're totally off, just like hanging out, and these three are just like going on their story. You see as they bond, as they like learn to like let their walls down and learn to just be friends. You see, there's this trope in storytelling that female characters have to do everything in relation to male characters. You see this a lot. A lot of female characters are just centric around the male main character of their story. But here, I'm totally 100% invested in just these three. And it's fucking great. And if this ends up being all I talk about in this video, fuck it, it's worth it. Let us get right on into it. So yeah, first you obviously have Tsubasa and Ren, and these two are girlfriends. This is how this show gets you. It's with the fucking Yuri baiting. That is what do it. Just add some Yuri. But if we were to forget, it's also better Yuri chemistry than these two fuckers. Yeah, I'm saying that right now. But no, essentially, like, a big chunk of this is Tsubasa, who's still learning to, like, let her guard down and, like, not feel like she has to keep everything pent up. And Ren, who has never really had a strong female friend before like this. I like that we do spend a lot of time seeing that when Ren was younger, she was sick a lot, and even when she got better, by this point, she was such just a complete Toku nerd that she kind of couldn't really find a way in to bonding with other kids. And what I like about this, and what I think really makes it work, is that they do a good job of explaining a lot of this is in her head, as I think it is for a lot of kids that age. She probably could have made a lot of friends, but what I think sort of works here is that she's very self-conscious about her interests and how it kind of makes her not really feel like she has an easy to access niche. Other girls will find it odd that she likes Toku, so she won't necessarily lean towards them. Boys at that age might not necessarily want a female friend to talk Toku with, so she kind of feels in the middle there. It feels very personal, and the fact that the show is willing to sit there and take time to focus on that, I think kind of makes this really fucking special compared to how most anime won't handle this right. And then once you have these two together, they're just so good. Just really good chemistry between the two of them. And you really just get that sense that they're enjoying being around each other and going on this little journey with each other to figure out who Gentleman is. In which case, let us talk about this. Gentleman is also a waifu, which makes a lot of sense in as much as the show's already going to give the girls a lot more leeway and strength in the story. So I feel like kind of giving you some more of that with a third girl, I think is also sort of a good deal. And her shtick is that she is a hacker, she is a gamer, and just like the other two, she's kind of had trouble adapting and finding a place for herself before her own unique reasons. We saw in her flashback episode, she's very good at things like computers and technology and obviously Shadowverse, but she might not necessarily know how to then use those things to help her socialize. Or even then, when she does, she has a bad habit of maybe pushing people away or getting into fights with them. And I like the fact that this wasn't just spelt out for you. I like that we just got a flashback scene with no real talking, just seeing in her head as she just remembers her failed attempts to find people and how it resulted in it just made more sense to make a computer avatar bunny voiced by Miwa instead of just trying to get out there. And I like that you see that it does anger her when people try to say they understand her and relate to her, and she's not ready to accept that. I also like the fact that one card fight with Tsubasa wasn't enough to fix her. Like, it still took a little while for her to learn to get more comfortable and be willing to come out. And it wasn't until somebody who she had already told herself only wanted to be around her because of how much of a use she was for her, only to then reveal that no, I enjoyed the time I was with you, and that's what brings her out, I think is actually a really special, nice moment. And I really, at this point, I'm just rooting for this girl for no other reason than that I just want to see her like learn to be with the other kids and learn to have fun with them and learn to like not believe that she always has to put up this facade for herself. It's such just a solid, well told story. And what really sells all three of these is that it doesn't care about plot. I totally forgot they got to win this tournament or they get expelled or anything else that is involved here. All I care about is watching these three go on their journey and on their adventures. That's not to say I don't like, I still like that. I like the other three. That's where I am getting at with this. I really have enjoyed watching them sort of grow and bond together. Although these episodes obviously were more girl focused, but just kind of like going through it, I like that you see so much chemistry with them. And when you get into this tournament arc, you kind of have a feeling where it's going to go. And that is, oh, they're just going to have a bunch of card fights, right? Well, I like the way it's framed that everyone had to take on their former club, sort of, and they then had to show sort of how they've grown as people. Seeing Tsubasa actually have to take on her mentor and then have to show she's become stronger for it is a really special scene. Seeing Ren be able to stand up for herself and be the toku loving girl she is in front of just like a big dominating force as her former club head is also really great. Seeing how Subaru has grown, seeing how fuck, why is it so hard to remember names? Seeing how Itsuki has grown. It's so just nice. Like the fact that the show doesn't need to just shoehorn so much plot and bullshit at you. It's just willing to let 22 minutes to even an hour. Like a couple of these fights were two-parters. And it was literally just because they felt that letting the characters just organically go through the motions and show the fruits of their journey from this whole entire first arc was important. I just respect the fuck out of that. And this whole show just has that charming love and everything to it. Like, geez, how can you just not enjoy this show? Like, God. As far as issues go, because we do have to talk about that, um, Light is really turning out to be the least interesting character. I still like this guy for what he is, but for the most part, the whole shtick of like, oh, I'll give you a clue to your fate, and that's kind of really only what's motivating him at the moment, is not super interesting. Though part of that is that everyone else is such an interesting character that he does get a little lost in the sauce, so to speak. As far as other issues go, this one isn't really an issue. I mean, if you wanted to nitpick stuff, you could. But I will say the reason I don't talk about this weekly like I do with Yu-Gi-Oh! Or attempt to do sometimes with Vanguard is that I don't know if there's necessarily enough here to go week to week. And what I mean by that is while I love talking about and have enjoyed bringing up all the plot points, I don't know if I could make a 10-minute video on each episode. The show moves at a fairly slow pace, which works to its advantage, but doesn't really then give me a lot I could bring about. Like essentially that whole Subasa and Ren arc searching for Shion arc just kind of would amount to me just being like, this week, they continue to go on the adventure and they still continue to be cute together and they go on fun stories and stuff. And also, Ren is my Toku loving waifu and I love her. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's not a weakness that the show takes its time and that you can't just like milk it for content every week. A thing that really annoys me that modern anime and gaming and stuff like that has become. But yeah, no, that's the next chunk of Shadowverse episodes. It's really fucking good. You really should take the time and watch it if you haven't already. And I think you have because this show's getting a lot more traction than the last one did. But in the comment section below, give me your thoughts on these episodes. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Are you impressed by spending more time on the girls? Do you think it has come at the detriment that the boys' arcs seem to have really kind of slowed down, which in hindsight, a little bit? Or do you like our bad guys or rivals or whatever you want to call them? Tell me about all that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me in the future as we see just where this just lovable story is going.